and how to mitigate its impact, and also NCRMP and other aspects of cyclones. Uh, Today, and in the next talk, we talked about uh, forest fire and its management. Dhawan sir talked about it, and he suggested several mitigation and management measures. And he also told us that uh, it's a best practice in the silviculture. Forest fire, it is used to manage the forests and better management of forests. And the forests, all the fires are not disasters. And he also showed some tools to manage the forest fires. And then in the last presentation, we Professor P.K. Joshi sir from JNU, he talked about role of remote sensing and GIS in disaster risk reduction, and the satellites and different aspects of remote sensing and GIS. So I welcome you all for this third day. And now, to begin with our session, I invite Shri Ashish Kumar Panda sir to give his talk on animal inclusive disaster risk reduction. Sir is a faculty at ECRM division of National Institute of Disaster Management, New Delhi. He is a Central Secretariat officer, an MBA in disaster management. He is pursuing PhD in climate change field, and he has more than 6 years of experience, working experience in disaster management division of Ministry of Home Affairs. He has joined NIDM as faculty member in September 2019 and looking after the forestry, biodiversity and animal inclusive disaster risk reduction section of ECDRM division at NIDM presently. Sir, over to you for your presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Shilpi. Very warm good morning to each and everybody present here. Shilpi, kindly permit me to upload my presentation, please.
Ravindra sir, please, sir.
Is it visible, Shilpi?
Yes, sir, visible, sir.
Full screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So once again, very warm good morning to each and everybody present here. I should say sorry for yesterday because I am part of one Char Dham project high-powered committee. I am member of that, and that meeting is running on yesterday also and today also. So yesterday full day I could not be there with you. I'm sorry for that. And today also after this my presentation, I have to move to that meeting. That is a full day meeting, and again I will come at the time of valedictory. So thank you so much for having me here. And this today's that topic that has been given to me is animal inclusive disaster risk reduction in the present times. So basically, we all know about disasters and disaster risk reductions, but mostly when we talk about DRR, we talk about human species, how to protect ourselves and our own welfare and our own interests are safeguarded in DRR. But what to talk about animals? For ages put together, we have been treating animals as a kind of a commodity, not a fellow community. But the kind of services animals provide to us, if we compare those things, then we should be feeling sorry for them, the kind of treatment we are providing to the animals. So today's presentation talks about how animals should be treated. What about DRR for animals? Because their own existence is very, very important as far as our own existence in the times to come is concerned. So I am here with my presentation. I will begin my talk with one wonderful quotation of our Rashtrapita, that is Mahatma Gandhi. He said once that the greatness of a nation can be judged by the way its animals are treated. So basically, how we treat animals, that shows our culture, that shows our Sanskriti, that what we say. So our behavior towards animals shows how, in which path we are developing, and what should be our behavioral pattern with our animals. We should be sorry for the way we are treating animals for the past so many, I mean, decades and years put together. So if we talk about our biodiversity, our India is a hotspot for biodiversity. You talk about ecosystems, you talk about wildlife. We are very rich into that. We have 668 protected areas, 102 national parks, 515 wildlife sanctuaries, so on and so forth. And nearly 5% of our Indian land mass is covered through all these protected areas and parks and sanctuaries and reserves. Then we have 47 tiger reserves, 18 biosphere reserves, 25 elephant reserves, and 5 natural world heritage sites. And also we have 25 Ramsar wetland sites. Our forests give habitat to nearly 400 plus species of mammals, more than 2,000 species of birds, approximately more than 500 million livestock population is there in our country. If we talk about only poultry, then it is nearly 730 million. And every year, sorry picture is every year, nearly 1 million cattle are lost to floods as far as our Indian subcontinent is concerned during monsoon rains. And also, nearly 44% of the country's livestock is perpetually affected by droughts in our country. So, also we are living in an era when we all know that because of our anthropogenic activities and also climate change is a natural phenomenon as well. So, because of the climate change, it also affects the biodiversity. How does it affect? Because of the changes in temperature, because of changes in precipitation and other environmental conditions, humidity and things like that. So there is a shift in expansion, shift in contraction, shift in migration of the habitat of the animal species. There is increased incidences of disease and invasive species. And because animals are moving from their forest areas to the human habitat areas, then there is man-animal conflicts also, then there is shift of food availability, then also failure of ecological relationships between species. So this imbalances the ecological, that pyramid that is there, that is very, very essential for our own existence. So we should be worrying about all these aspects in times to come if we really want human species to survive in future. So what is basically animal inclusive DRR? These are those kinds of mechanisms, those kinds of measures which actually help reduce animal losses in the times of crisis, in the times of disaster. How we do that? We go for mitigating their risks, we go for reducing their exposure, we try to reduce their vulnerability, and also we try to make their habitats safe and by improving their coping and adaptive capacities. So if you see this chain of this, how see our whole phenomenon, natural phenomenon is covered with biodiversity, then comes the ecosystem functioning, then there are ecosystem, lots of innumerable numbers of services are there, then humans come and we start utilizing these ecosystem services. Our own welfare is related to animal welfare. We shouldn't forget that. And every living organism has some connection with each other so that this pyramid gets perfect and complete. And we should be learning the importance of every species with respect to other species existence in this mother earth. So earth doesn't belong to us only, it belongs to all other species, all other biodiversity. We should be aware of that. Animals play a very, very important role as far as reducing several disasters. During the times of disaster, they help like us anything. In the coming slides, I will be telling you about how they are important to us in our own DRR. So when they are helping us in our own DRR, we should be very curious, we should be very cautious, we should be very forthcoming with respect to what we should be doing with respect to their DRR. So we should be very balanced in that. This schematic diagram talks about the interdependencies of various species with each other in the ecosystem. We all know about that. And one beautiful example I wanted to quote here, tigers and this floods and droughts, those are interlinked. See, if the tigers are removed in this food chain, the number of herbivores, I mean the animals which depend on the grass and other things, will increase due to lack of predation. Tigers won't be there, so they won't be killing these herbivores. So what would be the resultant? The resultant will be the increased food demand for these herbivores. They will overgraze. Then there will be degradation of the plants and soil resources. The grasses and plants, we all know that these roots, they help the soil into binding and holding moisture and prevent soil erosion. So the resultant will be the ecosystem will be full of floods, ecosystem will be full of droughts, and also there will be landslide risks. So one cannot imagine if tigers are removed in the food chain, it can result into several kinds of disasters. So this interdependency of species is very, very important, and we have to learn about these things so that we can coexist with each other. If we talk about ecological interrelationships, these between organisms may be beneficial to both the parties. It can be detrimental to one of the parties. It can be detrimental to both the parties. So few relations, few connections of between species are there. There are two specific kinds of connections I can define here. One is symbiosis, where one or both of the species are benefited, or neither the species are harmed. That is the common point out of this. But if we talk about antagonism, then at least one of the species, between the species where relationships is being developed, then that is harmed. So in the coming examples, you will see to it. See, this is a beautiful example of symbiosis. This crocodile and this bird, they are getting benefits from each other. The birds benefit because it is getting food from by cleaning the teeth of the crocodile. But at the same time, crocodile benefits from the fact that it is getting its teeth cleaned. So this coexistential kind of a nature that Mother Earth has provided to all the species, and we should abide by that. We should respect that. If we talk about antagonism, then relationships between members of different species in which one or both are harmed during their lifespan. But it doesn't mean that it is not inherently detrimental to the population, because this is the cycle of the nature. So they are bound to attack each other, and there is bound to be harm to one of the species or either two of the species. If you talk about the types of this antagonism, so one is amensalism. I can give you one example. There will be a very big tree, and under that big tree, where small trees will be there. Trees will be there, plants will be there, but they are not going to grow to their full extent, because that big tree is going to utilize most of the natural resources. So this is called that competition between species, that is amensalism. Then parasitism, we know. Predation, we know. Beautiful example of competition here between two species, lion and this hyena you are seeing. Then human vulnerability reduction, if we talk about, then we depend upon animals like anything. They are our companions, they are our workers, co-workers. They serve as resources at the times of crisis. And also there are so many miscellaneous services. Foods also, we are fully dependent on animals with respect to our food chain. And if we talk about their use and importance in our own DRR measures, then we should be knowing that in the developing countries, in the weaker societies, in the poor countries, most of the population is dependent on the livestock with respect to their livelihoods. And if we talk about some nomads like Masai in Africa or Gujar in our own country, India, Barkwal and Raikas also in India, they are the nomads. I mean, those population, we are moving from places to places. They don't have a permanent home, and they by and large depend on animals for their livelihood. And animals also play a very important cultural element, and which is essential for maintaining man's traditional lifestyle. Then places where it is very difficult to manage without animals. So I can give you one example of Ladakh, where if yaks are not there, then it is very difficult to live there all alone. And the animals' genetic biodiversity, it is so tough, it is so unique. It enables animals to adapt themselves to diseases, adverse climate conditions, limited feeding situations and resources. So thus limiting stress on environment. So if animals are there, then they not only co-opt to live with human beings, but also provide lots of essential services that is required for mankind to live in stressful conditions. There's one age-old belief also that animals can sense, forewarn, and incoming disaster. Animals have keen senses that help them avoid predators and or locate prey. So this very quality of animals also help them detect impending disaster. I can quote one example in 2012 in Mount Etna in Sicily, when goat behavior was studied by some researchers, and what they found that goats became very nervous and fled hours before a volcanic eruption. So it was believed that the goats could detect early warning signs of the eruption, such as tremors and the release of gases. And also one unique feature that they observed, that these goats ran away only prior to violent eruptions and not in response to great any ground tremor. So they are very susceptible, and they are also very cautious with respect to the tremors, with respect to earthquake that's being observed in those areas. So we can presume, and this study is still going on, that some animals might give us early warning signals with respect to disasters. Then the researchers are also using GPS trackers to monitor animal movements worldwide, and it also helps find their habitats which is endangered by our anthropogenic activities. So using these GPS trackers, we can find their movement and accordingly manage our many ways manage our day-to-day work. And also, I talked about wars or any crisis kind of a situations. Animals help us like anything. You talk about cavalry, you talk about horse, camel mounted infantry. Animals are used. Then animal-driven vehicles are very common with respect to medical evacuation. But because in the zones of war, you won't be finding very good highways, very good roads. So only animal-driven vehicles will be useful there. Then transport through non-motorable roads. Last mile connectivity. Forget about wars. In many of mountainous states in our country, like Uttarakhand, like Himachala, several villages are there where roads are not there. Kacha roads are there. So they are only animal driven transport will be available. Then some of the works which are labor oriented, heavy lifting works, then we use elephants, donkeys, and horses. Then if wreckage is to be cleared, then debris has to be cleared after a disaster. Then machinery can't reach those places. Big machines can't reach those places. Then we to utilize animals. Then dogs kind of animals, they have keen senses with respect to smell, so they can detect, seek out soldiers, they can seek out civilians, they can the search and rescue operations we utilize dogs. Then pigeons and dogs have also been used as far as communication carrying capacity is concerned. There are guard dogs which guard our tents and camps in the times of crisis situations. Then for mine detection, gas detection, also we use animals. So many, I mean, I can put on and put forth so many qualities of animals that can be utilized during the times of wars and disasters. If you talk about disasters and animals, you talk about natural disasters, you talk about man-made disasters, animals suffer like anything. One important aspect is the basic mindset of the human being that we have to save humans only at the time of disasters. We have to change this mindset. Then, if at all we are going to the forest or to some areas to protect some of the animals, then what we do, we protect only specific members of certain valuable species. We rescue only those animals. We don't rescue all the animals. You talk about this Australian bushfire. Billions of animals they perished during this disaster. But when we went there, we started protecting only specific species of the these animals. So that is not right. Then domesticated animals are usually abandoned or killed to avoid their burden on the or to prevent disease transmission in the times of crisis. Then, if at all, the owners of the pets, if they want to protect the animals, the authorities they say they don't have a space, they don't have resources, and they kind of rebuke these people if they want to save animals. So this kind of mindset we have to change in the times of disasters. Some pathetic pictures, if you want to see some Kaziranga National Park 2017, first see the carcass of this lioness, then see this Surendranagar district, this drought situation, this poor guy is sitting next to his pets. Then a glimpse of the raging fire at Bandipur 2019, some of the disasters I am showing you. The carcass of deer in the Karaikal after Gaja cyclone 2018. So put together the crisis situations and loss of animals at the time of crisis. Other than that, what is happening in the name of development, in the name of growth, we are entering into their habitats. So this man-animal conflict issue is very important. This is a kind of a global threat. One survey was done in India with 5,200 families in mountainous state, and nearly 70%, 71% of the household they reported that crop losses are due to the raids by the wildlife. So such conflicts affect not only local populations but also increase environmental impacts on ecosystem equilibrium and biodiversity conservation. So effect is crop damage, effect is animals death, effect is loss of human lives. We can have injuries also to people and wildlife. Then also there is livestock depredation. Most of the population in poorer nations, in poorer societies, they depend on the livestock with respect to their livelihoods. So if wild animals come to the man habitat and human being habitat and they attack on the livestock, then it also affects the livelihoods of the local people. So man-animal conflict is a very important aspect. This table I have tried to show here. You name any animal in our country, and then they have some resultant type of conflicts. Like tigers, they are associated with cattle lifting. They are associated with injuries or death to humans and man eating. And whole of the area, like whole of India, is perished due to this kind of man-animal conflict. Specifically, our Sundarban areas where this tiger habitat is there, Then this list is very long. I am not going into detail of that. And because of these consequences of human wildlife conflict, you can see mostly animals are dead, and in some of the cases, human also get fatal injuries or some injuries which is irreparable. And these situations can be avoided if we go through science-based some interventions or human-based some interventions through capacity building, through training, so that animals and human beings they learn to live with each other. So if we talk about the reasons I was talking about, it's related to encroachment of human beings in wildlife habitat for residential purposes, for industrial purposes, for growth purposes, and we are expanding our cities because the population is growing like anything. So we are allowing our livestock also to graze into forest areas, because where else they are going to get their fodder. So expanding road networks, talk about any growth development, infrastructure development, vehicular traffic is increasing into forest areas. And in through a national park or through a sanctuary, we plan some national highways also. So there we are troubling their habitats, wild animal this habitat, so they have no other option but to come to the human habitat. But also we are going for land use transformations. Forest areas we are converting into agricultural lands. Forest areas we are converting into industrial belts, or some residential plots we are developing into that. So unscientific structures and practices that we are following with respect to forest management, that is also one important aspect. Then tourism, it is not ecotourism, it is tourism with respect to gaining only money, only economy based tourism is there. So these are very important aspects. Also invasive exotic weeds that is prevailing in the forest or the agriculture area, like lantana, eupatorium or parthenium, have resulted in decreased availability of edible grass. So what happens, these herbivores, they don't get grass in the forest areas, they have to eventually come to our man habitats and graze into our area, so that man and animal conflict increases. And also because of the decreased prey base in the forest areas due to poaching, the wild animals are coming to the man habitat areas and also attacking our livestock. So what should be the way forward? We have to really relocate our human settlements. It should be away from the forest area. There should be some buffer between forest areas and human habitats. Then we should go for ecocentric tourism. We have to provide all kinds of training and awareness generation with respect to problems of human and wildlife conflict. We have to support research, R&D. Academia has to be involved. Industry has to be involved. Non-government agencies have to be involved. Then we have to maintain and manage our national parks, wildlife sanctuaries. Once their boundaries have been identified, we don't have any reason to encroach those areas. And poaching has to be stopped at any cost, so that there will be equilibrium between the number of prey and predators, so that predators don't have to come to the human habitat. Then we have to avoid wildlife habitat fragmentation. Like I said, between national parks and sanctuaries, there shouldn't be a national highway. Then GPS tracking collars, we can utilize GIS mapping softwares, so that hotspots of animals can be identified and human habitats can be put away from those areas, so that they can freely maneuver in those areas. And also during human this wildlife conflict, if there is some death to mankind, then the compensation that is provided by the government, that should be provided timely, so that local hostility is not there. What happens if you don't provide money in time? Then the local community, it goes into the forest and tries to kill some other animals in hostility. So we have to drift away basically from the principles like sustainable development and polluter pays principle, because these principles are based on a strong bias towards interest of human beings only, rather than environmental concerns. And one important message I wanted to give, that while choosing between development and environment, the tilt should always be towards saving the environment first, because this is an irony. Because whole of the human species, if they are vanished from the mother earth is going to flourish like anything. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा पृथ्वी को यदि हम सारे मनुष्य यहाँ से गायब हो जाएं. But the opposite is not true. We are fully dependent on mother earth, mother nature, environment, and also coexistence of animals with us, so that our own self existence is fully dependent on these species. So we have to be very aware with respect to that. We always know that this climate change risk assessment for a city, for a state, for a community means human species or country as a whole, that is very common. Where what we do, extreme weather events, how will be the experience, what will be the global warming, how is it is going to affect the economy, how it is going to change our day-to-day lives. That is commonly studied. But do we do this kind of study with respect to wildlife? Normally, no. So, World Wildlife Fund has recently started conducting vulnerability assessment with respect to various important species that are on the verge of being extinct. So, some examples I can give: polar bear, snow leopard, giant panda, monarch butterfly, green sea turtle, and list is very long. So, WWF is doing wonderful work with respect to these animals. Let's talk about tiger. The tiger is one important species that requires a very large swath area to roam, more than 30-50 kilometers area for one tiger only. Otherwise, they can't survive. And this is IUCN Red List status is very endangered for as far as these tigers are concerned. Total population is nearly 3,200. In our own India, we have beautiful the Sundarban area where this tiger habitat is there. This then coastal mangrove tiger habitat is famous of Sundarban. Then these mangrove forests harbor not only tigers but also variety of species and protect coastal regions from storm surges and wild wind damages. But as far as one report says that if because of the climate change the sea level is going to rise say 1 meter or 1.5 meter, then whole of the Sundarban is going to elapse like anything. So this whole of this tiger population that is available across the globe and mostly in India, in Sundarban area, that is going to elope like anything. So we should be very cautious with respect to our anthropogenic event that is leading to climate change activities in the world. It is also estimated that nearly 95% of their historical range has either been destroyed, either been degraded, either been fragmented. So when we know that only 5% of their this range habitat area is left over, so we should protect this tiger habitats. And as I told that they need wide swaths of habitat for their survival, so we should be very cautious. And because of this man-animal conflict, and because of lack of prey animals for them, because of lack of that food chain availability of animals for tigers, what they do, they come out into the human habitats and they attack our livestock, and sometimes they become man-eater also. So we should be very cautious with respect to encroaching their habitat areas. One important news I wanted to share with you this month of February only, during this 13th conference of the parties of the Convention of Migratory Species in Gandhinagar, our long pending proposal to include Great Indian Bustard and Asian Elephant and Bengal Florican in Appendix 1 of the UN Convention on Migratory Species has been approved. So this is going to benefit these three specific species so that their population can grow freely in their natural habitat without any interaction with humans, without any encroachment problems with respect to the humans. Now, some of the disasters I wanted to discuss. If we talk about Odisha super cyclone 1999, the loss of human population was if 10,000, if that figure is true. If you compare those population with the livestock population or the animal population that got devastated, that got perished during those times of disasters, the population you see, there is no comparison. Cows to the tune of 1.56 lakhs, sheep to the tune of more than 1 lakhs, then see poultry birds, 11 lakhs, they perished during the time of Odisha super cyclone. So we learned from those cyclones, like our Honorable Prime Minister says that we have to learn from past disasters so that we can improve upon that. So we learned from Odisha super cyclone, and in the recent past, this funny and failing kind of cyclones, we started evacuating human population, we evacuating animal species so that the losses have been reduced like anything. Some pathetic grim picture with respect to Odisha super cyclone of those times. Then if we talk about Assam floods 2016, nearly 2,800 villages got affected and 2 lakhs hectares of crops displaced millions of people and 30 humans killed those times. And one important aspect with respect to Assam floods is that it submerged around 80% of the Kaziranga National Park, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it has the world's single largest population of greater one horned rhinoceros. Population is nearly 2000 plus. It also hosts Bengal tiger, Asian elephants, and so on and so forth. The list is very long. So nearly 200 plus animals died and rescued, I would say 100 plus these animals. These are some gruesome pictures of Assam floods. One important aspect and another aspect is that during these floods, when this is low-lying areas, and then one highway is there, Highway 715, so national highway. So when these animals try to protect themselves by crossing this highway, then because of the road accidents, some 12 hog deers, that very rare deers, they died due to vehicular collision. So it can be either natural disasters or it can be man-made disasters. So animals are perished like anything during the times of disasters. We have to be very cautious with that. Australian bushfire, Amazon bushfire, these are very, very famous, enormous toll on wildlife with huge numbers of mammals, birds, reptiles, insects, and other species. And it has been assumed that more than 1 billion animals got dead during the times of Australian bushfire. The number is still counting. Then, until unless the experts get to the fine details with respect to these disasters, only then we can imagine or calculate the kind of losses we have accrued with respect to environmental losses, with respect to biodiversity losses, and these losses cannot ever be replenished in times to come. So one disaster leads to another, secondary disaster, tertiary disaster, and the loss of biodiversity, which can't be replicated ever. So we should be very cautious with respect to DRR of animals. Now, some of the policy issues I will discuss. If we talk about the Sendai Framework of Action of 2015, then it talks about it presented a big step forward with respect to its predecessor, the item number 4, priority action 4 of Hugo Framework of Action became priority action number 1. It basically talks about you first learn about the disaster risk, then only you will plan the risk mapping, then only you will plan how you have to come out of these risks and reduce the impact of disaster. See, disasters can't ever be avoided, but definitely with proper planning, proper preparedness, and prevention measures and mitigation measures, you can reduce the impact of disasters. So, in the Sendai framework of action, the focus moved from disaster management to disaster risk management. So, the priorities for action converging on reducing risk, enhancing resilience, and preventing disaster related losses. So, it moved towards expanding the focus to include the protection of livelihoods and productive assets. And this also includes livestock also. This also includes the safety of the wild animals also, because those that eco balance is imbalanced, then our own human species existence in times to come is going to be endangered like anything. So this very reality, this very importance has been emphasized in Sendai framework of action. Then we talk about 2015 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Then SDG 14 specifically talks about life below water. SDG 15 talks about life on land. So basically these two important SDGs, they talk about animal welfare. And it is very, very important message that achievement of any kind of sustainable development you talk about, it cannot be fully realized without taking animals and our shared ecosystems into full consideration. Again, if we have healthy animals, if we have better ecosystems, then definitely it supports our agricultural system, it supports our natural processes, so that eventually what it will do, it will promote the food security globally, it will promote the mitigation of global hunger. So basically that is again another target of SDG, that is SDG 2 of zero hunger. So SDG also talks about this animal protection. Our own government of policy, then our own constitution, article section 51A, it says that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, to have compassion for living creatures. Then we have important acts like Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960, then Wildlife Protection Act 1972, and our own NDMA, it has this mandate of issuing guidelines and plans and policies with respect to various disasters. But unfortunately, we don't have a specific guideline with respect to animal protection. So, but we have our national plan on disaster management, specific chapter number 7. It talks about animal protection. It says that animals, both domestic or wildlife animals, are exposed to the effects of natural and man-made disasters. it is very, very necessary to devise appropriate measures to protect animals and find means to shelter and feed them during times of disasters and their aftermath through a community effective measures to the best extent possible. So our national policy talks about animal welfare, animal care. Then as per the Disaster Management Act 2005, all the ministries, departments, our own country and then states, they have to have their own disaster management plans. So we have a Department of Animal Husbandry, Dairy and Fisheries, and they have released their National Disaster Management Plan for animals. It talks about rescue and relief of animals, and the plan for the first time ensures that animals will be included in the disaster preparedness and potentially saving millions and millions of animals their lives and building the resilience of the communities that depends on them with respect to their livelihood. Then this plan also aims to supplement the efforts of the state governments, union territories in managing disasters and lays down lots of guidelines. They are very, very broad for managing the lives of animals during the times of crisis, during the times of disaster. It covers the whole plan into three phases that pre-disaster preparedness, then disaster response, then post-disaster. This pre-disaster preparedness talks about how we disseminate early warning systems, then identify vulnerability among livestock, animal vaccination, how we have to go about that, how to provide feed and fodder during the time of crisis, and how to enhance the capacity building of the local community who are going to take care of the livestock. Then during the time of impact, when we go for response, then this plan talks about effective and prompt rescue of livestock, feed and fodder supply, and also measures against epidemics of any kind, like this pandemic presently we are going through, and diseases that is spread in animals during the times of crisis, and how to maintain sanitation measures in the times of crisis. Then a post-disaster scenario, it talks about how to go about the strategy for treatment of sick animals, disease surveillance, disposal of carcass. Disposal of carcass at the times of disaster in a post-disaster scenario is very, very important, not only for the safety of animal community, but also the safety for the human community. Then how to restore and restock livestock population, that is also has been talked in this disaster management plan. So if we talk about future pathways, one slide I missed here. There is one beautiful plan of government of Bihar also with respect to animal husbandry, with respect to animal protection, animal interest in the times of crisis. So these documents are very easily available on internet. So I will request the audience here to kindly go through and have a glimpse on these important documents. These are very important documents, and these can be replicated in elsewhere in other states as well. So if we talk about future pathways, I'm coming to the end of my presentation, then we have to go for low carbon pathways. The NGOs, think tanks, academia, activists, whosoever is interested, volunteers, they should bring scientific evidence in front of the governments so that they can involve those scientific evidences into their plans and policies so that we can move towards low carbon pathways. Our utilization of natural resources will be reduced. That pressure that we are building on natural resources with respect to increasing population, that is going to be reduced through these pathways. Then climate change issues have to be made people oriented campaign. We have to convert incredible scientific evidence that is developed in the labs, in the research community, in the scientific domains that exist on climate crisis or related impact on biodiversity into simple language, understandable language, or actionable messages for the local community so that they understand the message and they implement it at ground level so that mass level that outcome can be achieved. Then young population is very, very important. If we involve them into these activities, then they can influence businesses where they work. They can influence government if they are government servants in their roles as customers, employees, and responsible citizens, so that animal protection can be given the due importance that it should be given. Then deepening awareness among all stakeholders. See, everything with respect to disaster or crisis situation cannot be done by government itself. All other stakeholders, we are living in a multi-hazard zone and we are requiring support from all the stakeholders. So all these stakeholders should first be made aware. Their skills should be developed. Then all kinds of mock drills, all kinds of trainings and capacity building should be done so that policymakers to local communities, to the volunteers, to everybody that is coming forth on that common platform, that can be ensured that they understand the true value of protecting wildlife, true value of domesticated animals and put together with the benefits of good ecosystem. Then we have to go for conservation and protection of animals. We have to treat them as one among equals, and that it should be felt that that is the ultimate insurance policy with respect to not only individual but large scale community protection in the times of crisis and in the times of disasters. So all climate change resilience measures should invariably include animals alongside humans for coexisting sustainable growth. So this is my message. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity for talking on animal inclusive disaster risk reduction. Thank you so much. Over to Shilpi.
There will be hello.
Hello? Yes, ma'am. Am I audible? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. I can
Yes,
hear
yes, you are
you,
audible,
ma'am.
sir. Hello. Okay. Sir, okay. Sir, Ashish, sir, I want to ask you a question from the
Yeah.
participants. Uh, Sir, please clarify how Sendai framework DRR is different from Hyogo framework of Action 2005.
Okay. So basically, if you want a long answer, then I will upload my presentation with respect to that. The short answer will be basically the Hugo framework of action had five important priority areas. So priority number four, that was first you understand what is a disaster risk. So that became, see, Hugo framework was from 2005 to 2015. So during those times, whatever promises we had made to the global community or to the nations or to our own nation, that could not be fulfilled to some extent, so that the new SFDRR, that is Sendai Framework of Disaster Risk Reduction, had to be brought in. So basic difference between HFA and SFDRR is that priority number 4 of HFA became priority number 1, because people started understanding, okay, you may be
Okay.
having plan, you may be having policies, but first you understand what is your disaster risk, then only you can move in the right direction with respect to scarce resources that is available with you, with the government, with the non-government agencies. So that is the basic difference.
One more question. How far we able to achieve SDGs as far as animals are concerned? Actually, that we cannot. Okay, sir. Over to you, sir. This question. How
Yeah.
far we able to achieve SDGs?
Yeah, three important SDGs I talked about, that SDG 2 with respect to reducing hunger, then 14 and 15 with respect to life above land and life below water. So it gives importance definitely to animal activities and animal importance with respect to our own existence. But see what happens, writing something on documents is very easy, but at the ground level, whether this is implemented or not implemented, that is very important. So definitely lots more have to be done, and because of this pandemic, some of the important goals which had to be achieved by 31st December 2020 now cannot be achieved because one full year has gone into this
Absolutely.
pandemic. So accordingly, we have to shift our target dates, target areas, and targets, so that these can be achieved in times to come. But definitely, SDG is a very important aspect, and also our Honorable Prime Minister's 10-point agenda, which is in sync with all these important three global documents. So definitely, we are moving toward those directions, but it will take some time.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for giving this wonderful presentation. Now I invite our next speaker from his university, an assistant professor, civil engineering department, University Bareilly. He has experience over. He is associated with Himal Infotech Private Limited as a consultant for ground rooftop solar. He worked on the designing residential with special building, enhancing properties of concrete in variable climate conditions, lateral water harvesting plan in urban colonies, etc. Involved in the disaster management and currently working in hazard mapping of Rohilkhand region in UP. Along with his role as an educator, he is assistant editor of Invertis University International Journal, Invertis Journal of Tech. He is life member of Indian Red Cross Society and actively programs. Over to you for your present.
Ma'am, thank you for introducing me, and please provide me the sharing rights. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Okay. Now you can.
Now I share now. Hello.
Sir, visible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay. Beginning my presentation. First of all, I would like to thank and for inviting me to on a very important of disaster risk reduction, assist science and technology intervention in disaster risk reduction. Technology is an important, a lot of work done, especially after the revolution. So, in my presentation, I am going to cover certain issues that are certain areas that are got very much benefit from intervention of science and technology, and also the scope in the near future. So, as the previous speakers talk about that about they discuss the various international frameworks. So detail and previous speaker Shri Ashish describe a answer related to the Sendai framework. These are on this 2005 and IGO framework, and then after after 2015 with 7 goals, the Sendai framework of disaster risk reduction (SFDR) was introduced in the world. This create and accelerate the pace of risk reduction in all over the world, and most of the nations are following the guidelines and trying to follow the guidelines providing this framework, and they have make their own frameworks. Goal which is so a target year of Ashish importance of disaster management or its connection can be seen with this line that out of its 17 sustainable development goals, 10 are concentrated on the disaster risk reduction, closely linked with the disaster risk reduction. So this firmly established agenda of sustainable development. And like other countries, India also perform a lots of work in disaster risk reduction area. And since it's a Indian subcontinent is among the world's most disaster-prone nation, so it's very important to give due weightage to this disaster management and disaster risk reduction. And in such continuation after that, India launched the Prime 10-point agenda of disaster risk reduction by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji in Third Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction. Here you can see all these 10 agendas on which India is working right now. And item number 5, that is leverage of science of technology to enhance the efficiency of disaster risk management effort, is important, on which this presentation is basically based. And apart from discussing science and technology intervention, it also discuss certain more agendas like ensure that the opportunity to learn from the disaster must not be wasted, precious experience that disaster provide us, and we have a very weak area in our country, that involvement of all.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, Shilki madam.
Just connect. Hello. Hello. Ma'am, I think I am connected. My PPT visible or not, ma'am? Kindly please. Okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry for the inconvenience to all. So in this presentation, let's move ahead. So this item number 5 of Prime Minister 10-point agenda is basically focusing on using the science and technology for DRR. And item number 5 in detail discuss about creating the awareness, proper awareness about the early warning system, and they, because they can enhance the efficiency of disaster risk management a lot. For example, if we got a timely warning of tsunami, then we can evacuate the regions. And recently, Ashish sir also explained about the evacuation plans about the cyclone in coastal regions. So this is something that warned us before the disaster. So this is a wide aspect where we use geographical information system, computer simulation for disaster mapping and vulnerability assessment. There's lots of things are there. This is a scientific era, so this is a highly scopic era now, highly scopic point. So if we talk about the disaster management, then first of all we have to communicate with the people. The rescuer and sufferer have to maintain a relationship, and this relationship cannot be possible in when the communication is not available there. So as per our committee set up in 2005, it is for the high powered committee on disaster management, and it provide the top priority to communication and consider it as a first emergency support function, ESF. And uh, you can see this, that's communication. If the communication fails, and we consider in disaster management that rest of the responses will automatically fail. So any delay in transmitting communication puts life and property at more risk. So to sort out this issue, this is a very popular community radio technology, and this community radio is a concept that is widely used in disaster preparedness. And it is this you can see the benefit in using this technology is we can directly attach with the communities in their own language. And as per data that published in the Economic Times, we have a wide coverage of the community radio, but still the process is going on to cover to all those regions that are not in the coverage. And in 2003, 133 FM stations cover nearly 31% of population that time. Now the data is good, because we know now the smartphone technology is also move ahead that at that time. And then we can also see this smartphone also have feature along with the radio services, and community radio is also very good technological use in managing or preparing preparedness for the disaster. So this communication and the application of GIS in disaster management is all not a new thing, and it is here by almost everyone who is hearing this presentation. And we can see this remote sensing system. I have taken the example of here, but yes, it has a wide application. Here we can take the images for aerial and remote. With the help of the satellite, we can capture the data from the earth, and after digital processing, we convert into information. Because the fact is, because this is a fact that if you have the data, then it has no use. You have to extract the information out of this. A processed form of data is known as information. So we get this information, and we put it into the system, and then we take the output and apply it into the desired area. Here you can see the deforestation pattern that 2001, 4, 7, 10, 13, and 16. This is a satellite images of the same area, and you can see the extent of deforestation with the help of this imagery. And now technological tale of advancements has have the vibrant proofs. In 1970, you can see in the lack of the technology, in the lack of the evacuation plans, in the lack of the early warning system, a number of people lost their life. This is the case study of the Bangladesh, where 5 lakh people lost their lives in 1970. But in 1991, with the interventions of the technology and science in predicting the cyclones, the number reduced to 1,38,000. And then in 1994 it became 127, and in 1997 111, and recently in Amphan cyclone, the Indian Meteorological Department earned praise from the World Meteorological Department. And here you can say this World Meteorological Organization lauds IMD for accurate prediction of cyclone Amphan. It was the excellent example of technological advancement in DRR. And here they not only share the information with the Indian states that were suffering from the disaster from the Amphan, but they also share it with other countries. And with with this shared information, those countries also get benefit. And this so this was a technology that was initiated by India, and now we are sharing the data with other countries. So it's a proud moment for us, and a great credit goes to our brilliant scientists. Then we have the disaster mapping, and disaster mapping is essential because if you map a region, for example, you have seen several sites that have the risk mapping, landslide risk mapping, coastal areas risk mapping. And as well as this, you can see this this is the document about the vulnerability. This is about the vulnerability atlas of India, and it was published by the Building Materials and Technology Promotion Council, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. So they also provide this type of disaster mapping map, where earthquake, windstorm, flood, landslide, thunderstorm maps, and damage risk to the housing. They publish a number of thematic maps in this. So this also help in resilient construction and resilient design and resilient planning and preparedness of operation in those areas that are likely to affect from the disaster. Then we have the another technology, that airborne laser terrain mapping, ALTM. And with the help of this technology, we can access in very short time to a large area. And here we can generate a 3D digital picture of our surface and object on it. And this basically used for the survey and the mapping purpose. And it provide a very relatable data that is needed for the timely preparedness of any disaster, or after post disaster destruction of assessment. Then we have the technological disaster and the disaster side. We cannot, if we, it is not possible to stop all the disasters. So if disaster happen or calamity occur, then what type of, there are certain scientific intervention, scientific innovation that help us. The leading ones are the robots and drones. And here, this you can see this, they are helpful in locating and transmit the information about survivors to the emergency personnel. Several projects is there that developed in response of the Haiti earthquake, a very devastating earthquake, and this allow the mobile phone to communicate directly with each other, even where there is no network coverage. So usually in the disaster, transmission towers or many communication towers collapse or damaged. So this in the here this type of devices can work without signal, without network coverage. And Triology emergency relief application Terra is there. So this is the SMS text system for the emergency communication, two-way emergency communication, where the rescuer and the people affected can directly be communicated. So then we have the NASA find, and it can find out this used in the 2015 Nepal earthquake. And NASA's it is a suitcase size portable tool, and this can detect the human heartbeats through the 30 feet of the rubble and 20 feet solid concrete. Airborne LiDAR imaging research tested alert is there. So this is also a rendering. This is also helpful in 3D dimensional rendering of terrain and infrastructure like the LiDAR. And in micro, when then we have all some online users, online tools also, where we have the maps from the social media relief updates. Indian Navy also used it in Kerala flood 2018, and help in organization efficiently about plan relief efforts. So these are the micro mappers and Google People Finder. So, for example, if I quote an example, then any seismic shock is experienced in the country, then people start posting it on the social media. That they start posting the photograph, they start posting their experience there. So in this with this technology, we can track the similar kind of similar kind of messages from a particular area that is affected by the disaster. And this Google People Finder, so this was developed in 2010 in response of the Haiti earthquake, and this is very helpful in post and individuals to post and search for the status of the people affected by disaster. The same thing that I am recently explaining. And more than 7,400 records were searched during the Nepal earthquake with this Google People Finder. And Red Cross's emergency application is also there. So preparedness information, this you can they can get or at a real-time basis. And the Red Cross credits their application with saving life in numerous states in the United States. This is also proven technology. And have the future of prediction technology. If we talk about then wildfire protection, I will explain in my later slide. So I am not explaining here much. So this can auto generate a 12-hour warning to the with the help of the satellite data, and scientists can regularly issue and update the forecast with the help with this fire prediction model, computer model. Then flood protection is there in a country like India, where flood is a prominent disaster. So such system is very important. So locally specific guidance is available, because it is possible that if you are issuing the warning, but the local peoples are not able to understand that. So uh, this issue the warning and help in a 1 to 12 hour window in flood in accurate flood prediction in the affected areas. And earthquake protection is right now not a very reliable condition, but we are working upon this. So earthquake early warning system using a network of high quality ground motion sensor. Some tests are done, and we also received some success in that. So this was tested in the California. And so this sending the notification to the area in which it is installed since 2012, and to some extent it is successful, but it is not reliable 100%, we can say. Now, on the second phase of this presentation, this was the technological intervention. Now I'm coming on to the point that is mentioned in the SFDRR 2015 to 30, that is Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, Section 30P. So Section 30P of the Sendai framework emphasize on strengthening the protection of livelihood and producing productive assets, including livestock, working animals, and tools and seed. Ashish Panda sir was saying that during disaster, it is a very difficult situation to save the life of the human beings. So who will think about the animal? So this SFDR 2050-30 section 30P basically is for protecting the providing the guidance about protecting the animals, the tools and seeds. So this why DRR strategies for animals is important, because lots of people, especially the people from the rural areas, are dependent upon the animals. So in this regard, on 9 January 2020, a workshop was also conducted by NIDM. It was the Animal Inclusive Disaster Risk Reduction, AIDRR, and you can see this picture. I was also get the opportunity to go there, and Ashish Panda sir was done a very good job in this organizing this AIDRR, and it was probably the first ever effort in the country to consider this this Sendai Forward Article 30P and vertebrate species extinction rate. We can see why this is needed, why Sendai framework, and why we are talking about the animal inclusive disaster risk reduction. So you can see this graph. The International Union of Conservation of Nature is saying that the 50 animals move closer to the disappearing each year, and currently around 41% of all amphibians and 25% of all mammals are threatened with extinction. And this graph is showing an abrupt change from 1800 to 1900, because this was the time when the industrialization take a pace, and a lot of with unsustainable development and models, lots of animals areas and their habitat got vanished, and this was the impact on the animals. And we can see also here a number of disaster like forest fire, Australian bushfire. You can see the condition of animals here, and you can see this flood, how this struck on the animals. This is the recent example of Assam flood 2020, in the Brahmaputra flood. That was the Kaziranga deluge, in which the rhinos, a number of animals lost their lives, and droughts. They also face the problem of food and water in the affected area. Railroad accidents, number of elephants lost. This you can see also an example of railroad accident, and this is another problem, that is electrocution. That is the second biggest cause of wild animal deaths in India, and this wild animal this is the second biggest cause. And you can see this data at a glance of rail wildlife accident at a glance. Here you can see the number of wild animals, and wild animals are losing their lives each year. So with the unsustainable transport model development, they actually the transport is passing through their natural habitat, that is their home, and they are losing their life. And for this AIDRR, animal inclusive disaster risk reduction, we use certain technology in which the LIDAR is prominent. Again, I'm coming on the Prime Minister 10-point agenda as point number 5. The LIDAR has seen numerous application about accessing these disaster, and it generates the 3D structure of the area, like I discussed in the LIDAR. And here we can sense the animals there. And here you can see the camera trapping is there. Lots of animals have their due to the animal human conflicts specifically, and to saving them from the activities of poachers and other surveillances. We can install this camera there where no human interventions is there. They send the data and capture the images and video of public engagement citizen there with the wildlife. And this acoustic monitoring is there. If a certain kind of sound, it is certain kind of abundance or certain kind of pattern observed with this acoustic monitoring, then we can take the appropriate, or the all the organizations that are involved in the wildlife conservation, that can take the timely action to saving the life of animals that are affected from that in that area. Now, this aerial photography is very important, very useful. We can easily get a lot of get a lot of idea where the animals habitat is and what is the position of deluge in that area. Robots, there are certain situation during the disaster, whether it's a wildfire, whether it's a building fire, whether it's a flood. There are certain situation in which the human cannot go into the affected area, but we have to conduct the rescue operations where there the robots are very successful. Recently, this was first time used in 9/11 attack, where the robots done a wonderful job in the rescue operations of the people. There you can. Now I am presenting the case study of Australia. Recently, Australian bushfire, where the technology interventions help a lot. There are certain animals who are very have the astounding ability to run from the disaster, and usually they are the fast moving ones, like the cheetah and other animals, kangaroos, wallabies, and etc. They can run fast from the disaster affected area, but there are certain who cannot run fast. And this was the animal, or is a prominent animal of Australia. This cannot run a farm. It is a slow moving tree dwelling koalas animal. And in Australian bushfire, a number of koalas were affected from there. As per an estimate, the number of animals killed across Australia has been estimated at anywhere between 480 million and 1 billion, a figure that does not include the frog, insect, and other invertebrates. So it was a great devastation in that area. So here you can see how they conduct the rescue operation. The thermal imaging cameras they use, where they can this moist pointer you can see here, you can the heat signature and conduct the rescue operation there. Because of the difficulty in the reach, drones were also used, because many of the koalas are not affected from the heat from the fire outbreak. So in that situation, the drones go onto the long trees and assess their health condition, and as per their health condition, they conduct they provide the proper medical facilities to if they are needed. If they are needed, they try to rescue. हेलो सर, अभी आ रहा हूँ सर आपके पास. जी सर. हेलो हेलो मैं. So with this drone data, how they manage the drone, they access this on the mobile monitoring, and a person you can see in this picture, he's accessing the health condition of this koala with in a mobile monitoring van. And then we have the monitoring the food availability, because fire outbreak also burned the food of these animals, not all the koalas but several other animals. And with the help of this food availability monitoring, this this is a view of the donated satellite observation map, and where we can see where the natural food habitats got devastated of these animals. And according to that information, they also provide the assistance to these animals with the help of with the help of with providing their appropriate food to them. Now, tracking device, you can see this after getting the medical attention, these koalas were vulnerable to a number of other hazards also, including the danger. So they are tracked with the help of this radio tracking device. And the beautiful thing that was associated with this radio tracking device was that this koala will go into its own population, and when it go in with its companion, with its in its own herd, then we also get the information of other members of its of a common species, where they are hiding with the help of to save themselves, where they are hide to save themselves from the fire. So we can also provide the assistance to them also. So this was the use of the radio tracking device. Now item number 9 of Prime Minister 10-point agenda clearly maintained that we have to ensure the opportunity to learn from a disaster is not wasted. So in this area, we also using the technology. So So global paradigm shift is basically toward relief, more from the relief and response to the preparedness mitigation. We are not going to provide the relief and response after the disaster, but instead of that, it is better to prepare and make the mitigation plan before the disaster outbreak in the area. So now this is a global paradigm shift, and this is an example of aviation industry, where aviation industry learn a lot of lesson from its disaster. When it was in its beginning stage, a number of plane got face an accident, and with learning from each accident, from each disaster, each accident, each problem, they improved a lot. And this Prime Minister 10.5 agenda is basically telling about learning from the previous disaster and implementing the lesson in the coming one. And in this famous example I am presenting on the screen, that is tale of learning of, and it you can see an aeroplane with the bullet hole data. Anyone will say that this is the area where the bullets have been shot more, and this is the same area where bullets have been shot more. So the people who were engaged in this study, they think that if we put the more armor in this region, then we can save the aeroplanes. But a statistician after found a logical error in that. How we can be wrong in our assessment? This is a very good example of that, and how they have excellently corrected it. It is also a thing that we should learn in the field of disaster management. So this man says that he was the Abraham Ward 1942. He was a statistician. He found a logical error that is called as survivor bias. And survivor bias is an error in which one only look at the data those who have succeed and exclude those who fail. And this he said that, gentlemen, you need to put more armor plate where the holes are not, because that were the holes where the airplanes that did not return. Means we not have to put the more armor in this region. We have to put more armor in this region, because this is the data in which we have got from the plane that have returned on the runway. But those who have not returned on the runway, they were hit on in this region. So more armor is required in this region, not in this region. So these are certain errors in assessment, and it was also become a tale of technological progress. And as a result, we implement this data recorder black box. It is also a reason why aviation is so safe nowadays. So this data record the aviation. This is usually people know about the aviation sector, but this is also now nowadays using in the automobile manufacturing too. So inside the black box, if I generally speak, then black box, you will see the flight data recorder and cockpit voice data recorder. Because what happened during a disaster, it is very important to know to manage the disaster when that is going to stuck in the future. So there you can see this on the screen, that CVR data, cockpit voice record data. You can see this variation in the voice levels, and when a person is afraid, or when a person is having a mental instability, this pattern change a lot, and this CVR data tell us about what happened during a disaster. So it is an experience, because during a aviation accident, usually the pilots die, usually the airplane got completely vanished. So how we know why disaster happened in those areas? So this CVR data help a lot in this. And after learning the lesson from the one aviation accident, we improvise the other one. So how is it true that it is helpful? So this is the data of the missing aircrafts in 1948. You can see these are the areas in which the aircraft got missed, and totally by this is itself a evidence of DRR by technology and lesson learned, on which the Prime Minister is also focusing. Though, so this is the magic of magic when we learn from the disaster, from the previous disaster. You can see this data is year by year coming on a downward position. Means number of the missing airplane is decreasing day by day. So This was data, by the way, from the 1950 to 2018. So it is showing a good picture from the lesson learned. Now, same technology is implemented toward the motor vehicle event data recorder, MVEDR, where this is the black box of the car. You can see in this image, black box of car. This record the speed, acceleration, and sudden time, braking, and other important action of the driver shortly before the collision. How we are going to, how a person react before a disaster. This, if we know, then we can make a situation, make a decision that how people really behave during the disaster. So this provide the data, and precious data, and on the basis of this precious data, we extract the information and implement in our future disaster resilience operations plan. Then this we have the AI based DBMS and machine learning. So artificial intelligence is said to be the future. AI based disaster artificial intelligence is the future. And you can, if I simply explain this thing, so imagine yourself that you are playing a video game that is based on the artificial intelligence. If you defeat a player with the help of one trick, you cannot defeat the same player with the same trick again. So this is the uh, because the because this is because the computer makes mistake and rectify it in its in the next stage. And similar thing, the AI based DBMS is a very important. AI based disaster mitigation is going to change the entire picture of the disaster management area in the near future. We are hopeful so. And in the and you can see this, nowadays we are suffering from the COVID-19. So it is a popular say that the necessity is the mother of all the information. So basically, after this disaster, we can not say that everything was lost, everything was bad. Some things were good, and the one thing was good that during the period of the 1939 to 1945, when Second World War is ongoing in the world, then the world also witnessed about the a number of technological progress, whether a number of literature progress also. So many technologies were invented in that area. That time when the calamity struck, the need necessity itself come, and when the necessity come, then inventions also come into the picture. So similar thing proved to be true. You can see today not only the world but India also, whether it's Department of Science and Technology, whether it's Department of Biotechnology, Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, and other, we can say, take the name of ICMR, Development Organization, DRDO, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and science and academic institutions. Also the name of some private sector leading enterprises, and an office of the principal scientific advisor, of course. So they are combinedly trying to make a technological cover to the Indian people, Indian population, and they are developing, for example, Ministry of Electronics and Information. You have installed Arogya Setu app in your mobile phones. You have a lots of you are getting the update on that. And so this is some of the technology that was invented during the COVID-19 tough or crucial period. So these all are trying to invent the technologies or or work in the scientific intervention in fighting effectively from the COVID-19 outbreak. And here are the list of some COVID-19 technology that are developed in the COVID-19 period. So the foot operated washing station, mathematical models, integrated geospatial platform. When you search that where the COVID-19 outbreak on the Google, then a map is showing where the world map will be provided with a lot of dotted symbol of red color. So this is a geo referenced, or we can say that geospatial platform, integrated geospatial platform, that is providing you the approximately real-time information of the COVID-19 outbreak. Germicidal production for PPE, because PPE is also vulnerable to a number of virus, including the coronavirus. So this coronavirus is basically you cannot use the same PPE again and again, and especially the people who are engaged in the who are engaged as a frontline warrior, they are have a more vulnerability to be infected. So this germicidal protection of PPE, battery operator assisted breathing unit, isolation pod, disposable safety face shield, deployable field unit, Arogya Setu app, of course. These are certain names that intubation procedure, aerosol contaminant board, because the dead body, unfortunately, I have to talk about the dead body. Dead bodies is also contaminated with the virus. So how to contaminate the virus in a particular area? So these contaminant boxes are designed. UV disinfection towers are designed where you can put, if a person who is suffering from the COVID-19 is having that treatment, then you can disinfect the after his recovery from the COVID-19, he is going to leave the room. So this UV disinfection tower is very beneficial. You can put the tower at a particular on the middle of the room, and it will sanitize the room within few minutes. And this COVID-19 worker, you remember the days when the COVID-19 was initially outbreak, no one knows anything, and a number of confusion rumors were generated, and on that situation the frontline warriors were working, so they were not getting the proper nutrition food at that time. So this was the same defense food research laboratory developed the ready to eat food for them, portable emergency medical ventilator, Prithvi robot. It was the invention of a child, actually. So then he was a school child who developed this Prithvi robot and UVC sanitation cabinet, where you can sanitize your currency and synthesis of nanoparticle and its coating on cotton polyester fiber for having antiviral and antibacterial property. Then we have the emerging technologies continued. If we see, then robotics and drone that I have recently discussed, and this was the map of where you can see the red color dotted that I was talking about in my previous slide. Then online intermittent, you also observed, we also seen that during the lockdown, a number of stress level that that was observed to be increased in the society. So at that time, cinema halls were closed, number of amusement park were closed. So in that time, the online entertainment provide the people a way to entertain and maintain their mental health. A lot of OTT platforms launched. Telehealth, you cannot go to the doctor, but you can consult with the with the help of the tele health technology. Distance learning, it was faced by us also as a university, because I am associated with the teaching profession. So it was a challenge before the education sector, that how we are going to interact with the students. And this challenge was have a different aspect. If I talk about this, then it will take a lot of time, so I'm not talking about this. So basically, how to interact the student with the learning process, it was a great challenge in this lockdown period. So remote work, professionals also, a number of people who were working on the regular offices, they start working on the remote work. Digital contactless payment start get a pace, online shopping and robot deliveries in some developed country. Mobile apps for info sharing, mobile phone technology data for contactless tracking, like video, with the help of the video camera. And this was the technology that is also in Arogya Setu app. CCTV, South Korea and Singapore is using the CCTV based technologies, where they track the gathering at a particular place and take the appropriate action to break that gathering. Then touch-free biometric system and autonomous vehicles. This is under development stage, by the way, and it will take time. And artificial intelligence that I have discussed in my previous slides. This was a long presentation, actually, because technological interventions travel a long way, and lots of data is there, whether it's animal inclusive, whether uh, uh, it's general type of disaster management. So in a nutshell, if I talk about, I'm quoting the Sir Arthur C. Clarke, that any sufficiently advanced technology is equivalent to the magic, but but the fact is, you can use the technology by your own way. You can make a nuclear bomb, or you can make a nuclear reactor. You, with the help of the nuclear reactor, you can provide the to the people who have deprived from that, and you can use this for the purpose of welfare. But if you make the fat man or little boy, then you can result into the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So with these words, I would like to sum up this presentation. Thank you very much for your patientful listening. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful presentation on technological interventions on disaster. Sir, I would like to ask you few questions that are posted by
Ma'am,
participants. How far, Ji,
please.
have India achieved technological advancements in predicting earthquakes?
How far India achieve in actually your voice
Advancement in predicting earthquake.
in predicting earthquake. Actually, this is a interesting actually. Okay. I have heard the question. So I think the basically, or we can see whatever you say, luckily or badly, we are in a nation that was the result of the tectonic formation. India is traveling. India have the Himalayan portion, and and its land mass is moving toward 47 per year years rate. So it's basically unstable, and it is very difficult to predict the movement of tectonic plate. We have not developed such technology right now. That I have, we cannot, earthquake is, we can say, an invincible force right now. So there are certain institutions that are engaged and trying to predict the earthquake in India, in which we can see the seismic institutes are there. IIT Roorkee is also working on that, but not so much success has been lost till now to accurately predict the earthquake. No one say that it is going to when it is come and go to what intensity, right? So we are on the way, like the other world. Thank you. Is there any other question?
More question I would like to ask. Please clarify the concept of build back better.
Build back better means, uh, let me uh, give you a very simple answer. That build back better, this, if you are walking on a road, right, and if you are having a something obstacle there, and you fall down due to that obstacle, and this was the story of one day. You are walking and you are fall down due to one obstacle. So what will you do in the second day? Will you do the same mistake? You are going to fall again with that obstacle? No. So you will do something that is better than your yesterday's decision, because of which you fall. So build back program is basically dedicated to building the infrastructure, building the system better than it was previously one, on the basis of the lesson we have learned during the previous disaster, so that they prove to be very efficient in the coming days when next disaster struck. And this is implemented in the Gujarat after Bhuj earthquake 2001, and now we have seen in Kedarnath also after the North Indian quake 2013. So it's running on a great pace.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Silky ma'am.
And
can I speak about build back better if you permit?
Before that, Vikram sir.
If you permit, can I speak a few lines about build back better? I would like to clarify that.
Vikram sir.
Sir.
Sir, first of all, I would like to apologize that I have taken a lot of time.
Sir, it's no issues. I was also in some meeting, that's why I couldn't be on time.
Okay, sir.
So if you permit and if you allow, can I speak a few lines about build back better?
Sure, sir. Sure. It will.
Though the question is being categorically asked for you.
Right, sir.
I am not a disaster management expert, but whatever I've gone through and whatever I've learned by experience in my National Institute of Disaster Management for the last 2 years, we have been regularly hearing this build back better, and there are various terminologies which we have been continuously hearing from participants or the teachers or the trainees or the experts. But what I can say is that as far as my wisdom goes, build back better is an approach that categorically or speaks about the post disaster recovery phase. And by this approach, we can surely reduce the vulnerability factors or the vulnerability to disasters situations in the future times, and which in turn builds our community resilience as a whole, and the individual and the entity resilience to face and to cope up with any disaster situations in future times. And this also applies to cross-cutting issues such as environment, gender, governance, climate. So basically, it's an approach which helps to deal us and cope up with the post-disaster or the recovery period. Thank you. I think I have done justice to a certain extent.
Right, sir, because you are focusing on the right area. It's a absolutely, it's a post disaster phase, and we need it a lot.
Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome,
Vikram
ma'am.
sir, I welcome you to this program, and I request you to kindly give your presentation on incident response system. I welcome you.
Is there a connectivity problem? Because I have switched on my video, but I am not visible. At times it's blinking.
Yes, sir. There is a slight connectivity problem, but we can
Then
hear
it's
your
better
voice.
if we keep on video off mode so that the audio is at least clearly audible.
Same thing I have done. Same thing I have done.
Oh,
So that connectivity
okay,
can
sir. Then I need to do the same thing. कहाँ गया है desktop में? कहाँ है इसमें यार? IRSP. F5. Ma'am, is it visible? My PPT?
No, sir.
Hello?
Right now. Right now, sir.
अभी आ रहा है.
हमारे यहाँ तो दिखा रहा है.
Sir, it will take time in loading, sir. I also feel
Okay,
that.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So can I? May I start
Is
or
your-
should I wait?
Make your presentation to Ravindra sir.
I have already sent it.
Okay. I will operate from my side, sir.
I have already sent it.
Upload the presentation.
Ji Shilki ma'am, I'll start. And what would be the media of delivery? Is it bilingual or purely English?
Would be better because most
Okay, thank you. That's not
of
an
South
issue.
India. So
Okay. So good morning and a very warm welcome to all. Now I'll be delivering a short talk on incident response system, that is IRS, and its genesis, how it materialized and how it was adopted in India, and what are the various features, principles attached to it. So ये क्या, मैं तो कर ही नहीं पा रहा इसको. So what is IRS? Acha, he'll do it.
Ravindra is running the process. Yes, sir. You have to just tell him.
Ma'am, then to it will be an issue because anyways, okay. IRS basically it denotes incident response system, and with these three words, as we all know, incident it is an happening, response how we react and how we act, and system we must have an organized or well-defined layout, laid out structure for responding to any incident. Any incident. So IRS is a mechanism which reduces the ad hocism in response. And how it reduces the ad hocism? By a well-conceived team, because we have a well-conceived system to operate, to react, and to act. And this IRS, if we go about the background, the genesis and the history of IRS, as you all know that the High Powered Committee under Shri J.C. Pant, the then Secretary to Government of India, has made some observations and recommendation, and this IRS was also a result of their recommendations. And as we all know, this IRS is basically, if we talk about its beginning, then we need to go way back to 1970s and thereof 70s, when in US, this forest fire USFS, they were adopting a system which was known as ICS, Incident Command System. And this IRS has been, initially it was ICS which was adopted, but in Indian conditions and in Indian diaspora, it was fine and it was finalized, recommended that we need to go and institutionalize is as an IRS, Incident Response System. So an IRS, we can say that is modified or the indigenous or the ICS system or the ICS model, which has been modified into Indian conditions, Indian situations. Then this is it came out as IRS. And as we all know that after the adaptation of system by this LBSNA did the study, and then for NIDM was interested with the capacity building and this training manifesto. So these in 2010, the IRS guidelines were issued by NDMA, and this IRS became operational in 2000, somewhere in 2019. And NIDM was chosen to promote IRS training, being a premier capacity building and training institute in the field of disaster management by Government of India. And as we all know that India is vulnerable to a variety of natural and human-induced disasters, and as you all know, these disasters hinders the country's growth. response activities in disaster situations, we may face the following challenges. That may be the shortage of resources, the mobilization of resources, whichever is available, management of resources, what is the coordination among stakeholders. We need to have efficient communication, because integrated communication and foolproof communication, because as we all know that communication is the backbone of any operation, and all these response activities which we take up, they are basically operational activities. So without an effective communication, we cannot have a optimum and a fail-proof, foolproof response action. We need to have a seamless chain of command. There shouldn't be any ambiguity. There shouldn't be no doubt. And every orders or every designation or whosoever is assigned, it must be categorically crystal clear to each and every individual, right from top to bottom. And we must have anticipation and preparedness, because we need to as a leader or a responder, we need to anticipate. Then only the concept of build back better can be achieved in a fruitful manner, and we have to have a visionary psychology or a visionary attitude. Then only we can prepare how it can happen, and the what else is required in the future. We need to cater for the foreseen, unforeseen. So as we all know, and we keep on saying, and I firmly believe in that, we must be hope for the best and be prepared for the worst. That is where and when this preparedness comes into account, and there should be role clarity, and there shouldn't be any duplication in any orders. So this is the incident response system. Sorry to interrupt you, Shilki ma'am. What is the time schedule? 20 minutes or?
Sir, 40 minutes.
Hello?
Hello?
Acha, it's 40 minutes, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay. G. Okay. Then it is the incident response system organization chart, which is very much clear. This says that there should be a responsible officer, then we have incident commander, we have deputy incident commander, we have information media officers, we have safety officers, we have liaison officers, operation section, we have planning section, we have logistics sections. So these operations, all these sections, they have chief, whereas above the chief, we can say that all these chiefs were designated as chief of various sections. They report to the officers. Their nomenclature is being termed as this officers, and we can have small incident organization charts. We can have large incident organization charts, where we can have commands, we can have sections, branch, divisions, and groups. This is a large incident organization chart. We have under our various sections, we have branches and we have units. Like in planning, we have resource situation, there's documentation unit, demobilization unit, and logistics, we have section branch, then we have under branch, we have units. So this depicts a large incident organization chart, whereas if we talk about small incident organization, where we can have this command. These are all the command officers, officers like this responsible officer, commander, deputy commander, and safety officers, liaison officers, and media information officers. So under that, we have only in smaller, we have under command, we have single resources, be it we can have single operations, can have single planning section and logistics sections. We don't require that much of bifurcation of in small incident response charts. This IRS is standardized on-scene all hazard incident management concept. Standardized because there are laid down standards, there are laid down duties and roles and tasks assigned to each and every office bearer or the designated and is on sign because we have to react at the site or the scene of site, and it is applicable. It may be applicable to all hazards because we for all hazards incidents we need management, and without management we cannot uh, this overcome, or we cannot tackle any disaster situation in a desired and effective manner, because we need to analyze the good management practices which are required to be followed during the management of incidents or disasters. And this is a system which involves or which packages the best practices in management of any disaster with proper monitoring system, proper we also need to have management information system, and on top of it we need to have certain organization principles. And all these monitoring systems, information systems, MIS, and organization principles and the features of this IRS, because they all are being systematically practiced and put into efforts on grounds, put into effect, so that all this systematic manner makes it capable of adapting, and simultaneously it helps in improving the effectiveness of our response. So the effectiveness of this IRS depends on all the various factors which I discussed so far. And this incident response system identifies the unique quality of the responders, how they deal with it as an incident or as an event management system. Why we need IRS? We need IRS for systematic approach to a response, because if we don't have a systematic approach, then we must not be able to attain the desired result. We must not be able to contain the situation in an effective and efficient manner. And this indicates the efficacy of our response system. This is a flexible system because we can have a small team. We can have a small team of responders for a small situation. We can have a large team of responders, large IRTs for big hazards. As I have said, we can, because we have the flexibility of having large IRS management organization charts for large events, incidents, and for small events. This is a management tool because we will be discussing the various principles, and the basic principle on which it is being involved is management by objective, which means that the objectives are laid down, objectives are decided, and then the various management protocols or the process which are put into effect for attaining the objective. Then we need to focus on responders too. We need to be focused. We need to ponder upon. We need to think about the responders, their well-being, their requirements, their rest and recoup, and various other factors which are associated to their conditions while they are busy in dealing with the disaster situation. And every activity is documented because we may have a basic outline or a basic plan or a basic but every activity is documented because every action has a unique reaction, and every this hazard situation has to be dealt in a different hazard situation, because there it a same set of actions may or may not be utilized in a similar manner, but it change has to be there because every situation demands a unique reaction, but the basic concepts are same. And with IRS, we can have the accountability fixed because we know who will do what are the roles and responsibilities which have been assigned to the various responders, and who has been successful, who has not been successful, because these success and failures are part and parcel of our life. And so there's no guarantee that our every action will be a successful one. So, and with this, we have accountability. We can also say that there are various type of forms which are required to be filled up by this by every responders, or by the every section, or by which we will deal in which we discuss in our IRS module. This is basic, intermediate, and advanced tool. And this IRS system is easy to monitor because we have a set principles. We have set organizational chart. We know who to do what and who will take orders from whom, and how the flow of orders will take place. So it's easy to monitor because we have the accountability and we have the roles and responsibility assigned to each and every individual. So if we discuss about IRS principles and features, so we can say this management by objective. Basically, it has 12 features: management by objective, primary management functions, standardization, then we have organization flexibility, we have resource management, unity and chain of command, we have span of control, accountability, integrated communication, transfer of command, unified command, area command, incident action plan. If we talk about, let's quickly I'll explain these various principles. By management by objectives, we mean that the objectives set, objective is laid down. Then as per our objectives, we go and define our management tools, management activities, that is planning, and resource management, and various other methods or the principles. So what are the objectives? They are laid down, and once the objective is being raised, then the various management principles or the management uh, features which are required, they are put into practice. So management by objective is basically a systematic and organized approach which allows the management to focus on achievable goals, and because the goals that are the object which the objective or the goal which has been set, so it helps them to attain the best possible results from available resources. And this management objective under IRS, it covers 4 essential steps. So we need to understand the policy or the government policy and the various directions. Then we need to, once we are familiar with the our policies or the directions which are required to be, which have been very well understood by the responders, then we can establish our incident objectives. Then once the objectives are decided, then we can adapt and we can think upon appropriate strategy, what will be the course of action. And then once we have finalized or we have selected the best appropriate and the best available strategy, then we can perform tactically by applying our resources in the right directions. So the selection of right resources and selection of right resources in the right way, and to monitor the performance so that we can have this the best possible results, that too from the available resources. Primary management functions, that is logistics, planning, staffing. There are various management functions which are required to be dealt by this at the management level. Then Standardization, because in this we have common terminologies, we have a set and well drafted and laid down terminologies, that who will be the incident commander, who will be the logistics, what will be the planning section, we have, and what are the roles and duties assigned to them. We have fixed designations, and this organizational flexibility we have because we can have a small set of people, we can have for small incidents, and we can have large, if we require large number of responders, we can involve large numbers. So this organization flexibility is dependent on the wisdom of the commander. And resource management, we have to do whatever is available with us within the best available resources in the best possible manner. And if we require, we are very much clear about the available resources. And in case we have any paucity, we have any shortage, or we are lacking of any resources, then we can request to the seniors, or we can request to our adjacent, if we talk about in Indian system districts, or we have the resource management, that IDRN network. I would request all of you to please go through this IDRN website, which is being managed by NIDM. So we have the best possible resources management. Then we have unity and chain of command, because until unless we don't have a unity and chain of command, then we cannot have fruitful and desired or the effective results, because in the absence of any command system, we'll have certain chaos or a chaotic situation. So we know who is the boss, or who will report to whom, and how orders will follow from whom to whom. And span of control, as we all know that this clearly indicates, if you remember the organization chart, so under logistics, under planning, and under operation sections, we have certain branches and we have certain units. So this shows how much is who is controlled by whom and who has to report to whom. And this it is unanimously or decided that effective an individual can very effectively control have under 3 to 7% in an effective and efficient manner. And accountability, we talk about accountability. I've said that this who each and every this rank holder or every individual or the responders, he has certain set of responsibilities, roles, and tasks assigned with him. So if he fails to, or if he is, gets success in achieving the task, then the principle of accountability is applicable. And we have integrated communication. We have communication at all levels, right from top to bottom. We have certain communication systems, like we have HF, VHF, we have high frequency communication sets, we have mobiles, we have various satellite phones. So it is a well integrated and communication system, right from at state level or the national level. We have the emergency operations centers at each level. So there is an integrated communication, and we have dedicated this media and this communication officer. We have transfer of command. The transfer of command we mean when we have we need to change the commander by any under any circumstances. Suppose if we need to if our commander gets injured or he is incapable of dealing with the situation, then a senior one can come. So there is a transfer of command. A deputy can never be the incident commander in the absence of commander, because the transfer of command, it takes place, and if it say, then it takes place for various following reasons. when an incident becomes overwhelming for the IC and IRT, that the IC is not that much capable of dealing with it, or when we have in case when we have more qualified and experienced senior officers who arrives at these on scene, and normal turnover also, because everybody need to have the rest and recoup facility, because in case if people are exposed or they are indulged in case of long or extended incident, then we need to go for normal turnover as well, because certain operations will continue for days, months, and there are situations where we have seen that there are jurisdictional or agency change in command when the operation is required. So we need to have transfer of command. Unified command or area command, we can say that we have a unified command, and with area command, we can say if we take a certain area, if we talk about hilly terrain, then there may be various hills. So under for every hilly region, there may be a different approach to proceed, and there may be a different. So we can have certain area commands for each and every designated hill area, and they all those area commanders or those commanders will report to a unified command on top of it. And we need to have an incident action plan, because this incident action plan is required to be documented. So this are the various principles and features associated with IRS. And if we talk about this integrated communications, then we need to have a foolproof communication system. We need to have frequency and resource use planning, information transfer procedures, because communication, if we discuss about integrated communication under this IRS, then we have various facilities. We have in emergency operation systems, then we have incident command posts, we have a staging area, then we have a base, we have a camp, we have a relief camp, we have a heli base, or we have a helipad, or we have certain uh, rehabilitation places. So we need to have a very strong communication network system so that all are in communication with each other. They are all in touch and in contact with each other. For that, we need command nets, tactical nets, support nets, which we can discuss, because if and we need to have critical communication and non-critical communication. Critical, whatever is required is, and which is of the utmost importance, is required to be percolated down or to be conveyed, that it can be conveyed. And whatever that is not required, that is non-critical, which is of not that much of importance as compared to critical, it may be spared and it may not be forwarded. This resource management, what all are required that are needed to respond to disasters effectively and which are required to be obtained if we don't have. This helps the efficient and the optimum uses of the resources which are ready for deployment in the staging area. What are the active assignments, resources which are on active assignments, and resources which are available with us and that may be required in future course of action during this entire operation, and what are out of, because this helps us in also finding out and out of the service resources which are not assigned and they are not available because of repair or maintenance, so that they can be sent for repair or maintenance for further use, future use. This is the efficient, this is effective span of control. I have said that it is widely accepted that 3 to 7 is the best. At the max, 7% can be effectively controlled by an individual, or 3. This is the incident response system organization chart. For every incident response system, we have an incident response team, and incident. This IRS is totally based upon team approach, because without team, an individual cannot do or achieve the success, because this is a team effort and we have to do various functions, and a team has to do various functions when we take upon any disaster situation or an so this team has to do the effective incident management, and with we have that can only be attained by a team approach. And we have different management because each management function uh, is performed by individual or by the team members, because they all are assigned the different tasks or different management roles or the different management functions, and that helps them to do their work in a more proficient manner, in a more professional manner, so that they can achieve the team goal of achieving the incident objectives. And the incident commander is the team leader of the IRT. This IRS can be applicable for the planned events or for the unplanned events, for any disastrous situations. And we have seen a Kumbh, and in this COVID-19 also, we have seen how this IRS, like we have all various ministries, we have various organizations like police, like medicos, paramedics, some are deployed on ground, some are involved in policy making, some are involved in research, some are involved in maintaining law and order. So overall, it has to be a team effort, and this IRS is applicable because it can help us to respond to various disaster events such as cyclone, earthquake, and complex emergencies, incident within an incident, because an incident can occur that it can have like we have once we have suppose if we have any earthquake, then we can have the after effects of the earthquakes, and even the large scale events such as COVID-19, this pandemic. Yes, it is very much applicable to for dealing with these any situations. And any IRS, now if we see why disaster management is important, and every incident response system, it has to be as per the broad structure of the industry. What are the hazards of any industry and what are the response to the possible disasters? So I would say that this IRS helps us in making a defined structure, a very well laid down structure, depending upon the this need of the art, depending upon the need of this incident, depending upon the need of this industry, or depending upon the disaster or the disastrous situation which has taken place. As I've said, the IRS incorporates all the tasks that may need to be performed during the response, and it clearly and categorically defines and identifies as well the pre-designated officers to perform various duties, and also it helps in working upon the weak areas and where the training is more required. So in turn, it also helps these pre-designated officers or any officer who has been assigned to do any duty to get them trained in their roles. So we can very well say that this IRS is a flexible system because flexible in the sense, if we need the logistics section only to help and to become active, we can ask them to become active for a certain period of time. So that what I mean to say is that flexible in case of only those sections or branches of the units can be activated when they are required to meet the disaster situation. And if we require all and each the section, branch or unit to uh, become active, we can activate the entire team as well. As I've said, this if we go through this IRS organization chart, then this entire chart can be divided into two staffs. One is at command level, which is known as the command staff, and the other, which is known as is the general staff. So at command level, we have this responsible officer to whom the incident commander reports, or we have this incident commander, deputy, and all these officers. So these are at the command staff, whereas the general staff, we have the operation, all the chiefs and these unit chiefs, service branch chief, support branch, and finance branch, transportation branch, all they are at the general staff. So this is how we can discuss or we can explain or elaborate about this organization chart. There are certain management by objective we speak, because that is very important, because if you don't have any objective, then only we can activate, and for this we can activate if we decided upon the objective or the goal, then we can imply the management principles. Okay. If we talk about flexibility, then flexibility is very much important, because we, as I've said, that we can organizational chart for big or small units. Then even for if we talk about the IRTs, we can have IRTs for small incidents, and if we require, we can have IRTs for big incidents. If we talk about small incidents, we can just have an incident commander. We can have this documentation unit, group, ground support unit, if we say the resource unit, and then we have operations section, which can directly go and work upon and take become active. And if we talk about big incidents, then we need to have incident commander, deputy commander, deputy IC, then we have liaison officers, safety officers. So this chart depicts the entire. So every IRS has the element of flexibility, and it depends on the wise and wisdom of the responsible officer or of the incident commander, because they have to work in close coordination, and this IC has to work under the supervision or under the as he has to report to responsible officer. But there may be cases when we have a shortage of officers and we need to do multitasking, which is very well permissible in IRS. But there are certain principles or these rules which are required to be followed. Organization units can never be combined. Never combine any organizational units. And what is permissible is that one person may supervise more than one unit. Like each and every unit has to remain active. One individual can supervise, can lead more than one, but every organization unit has to be remain active. So clubbing or combining of units is not permissible in IRS. हेलो
यस सर।
Sir.
अच्छा आ रही है आवाज?
हाँ हाँ
Yes,
सर
sir, yes,
बताइए।
sir.
ओके
Sir.
एक्चुअली मुझे कुछ भी नहीं दिख रहा है
Sir.
मेरा ये पीपीटी।
Sir, just you say next, sir. Which slide you have to follow? Just you say next, sir.
अच्छा you are in the initial slide itself.
Presentation topics slide, sir.
अरे चलो अब तो कोई नहीं आई थिंक then again I would like to emphasize upon that this IRS is the modified version of ICS because an ICS incident command system is being studied by LBSNA, then by MHA, then by NDMA, then the final NIDM has been entrusted with imparting training to various disaster management institutes, ATIs, and IRS. And we have imparted training to a large number of resource holders, trainers. We have trained the master trainers, and we are still continuing with our endeavors. And this IRS is basically a it also involves multi-jurisdictional incidents. But as we all know that there are certain hiccups and certain problems, certain which we can face while dealing with. So, but because India is a vast country, we can have language and cultural differences. We have shortage of resources as well. There's the life and property is at greater loss risk from natural and human-induced disasters, and we have to, while dealing with any disasters, while reporting about any disasters, while documenting any disasters, we have to be very careful because we have to deal with the sophisticated media coverage which demand the immediate answering from the government agencies or the organizations. So this IRS broadly refers to a management system that is required to be used for incidents of various kinds and sizes, such as any disaster situation like earthquake, floods, cyclones, landslides, or even various emergencies which are being caused by such as train accidents, epidemics, pandemics. So this IRS system provides to organize various functions, tasks, and staffs within the overall response process in which the different organization or the organization, multiple organizations are involved. So now why this IRS is useful? Because IRS is very useful and with we can understand it by analyzing our response to various disasters or incidents which has occurred, such as Odisha super cyclones or the Gujarat earthquake or this pandemic or the recurring hazards like floods, droughts, which we have experienced every year. And the response of the government or the dedicated or the nodal agencies to these emergencies, which requires involving large number of organizations, department or the various departments, even various agencies during these emergency times, it creates difficult and unique challenges because various agencies, a large number of agencies and organizations are involved. So there are uh, chances of unique challenges such as there can be multiple line of authorities, multiple level of supervisions, multiple resource management. There is a difference in terminology and other communication problems, span of control, etc. So with IRS or this ICS, the erstwhile ICS, which is adopted as IRS in Indian scenario, it helps in dealing with all these multi-dimension and cross-cutting problems. And this response system, which suffers due to a poor management, with putting it IRS on ground has helped in overcoming all these real problems or on ground difficulties which were faced. So this IRS helps in bettering the coordinated efforts among the responding agencies, and this also helps us in containing the effects of the incident, and the ability and the competence of each and every individual or unit is very well crucial, and it is categorically laid down. So in the end, I would like to sum up by saying that this system provides a framework which makes use of management concepts in a very efficient and effective manner by efficient use and systematic guidelines for effective response to any incident. And this, now we have the guidelines of NDMA, which are published in 2010, and we have this on the IRS. We have training modules have been developed by NIDM, sorry. So, and we also undertake and impart training by organizing online and face-to-face training courses for an IRS. And without taking much of your time, I would like to request all the participants to please go through the training modules or the training manuals of NIDM, which have been developed by NIDM on IRS. And we have 5 IRS main courses or the training modules, and all these 5 modules are available on our website. And as we all know that NIDM has been designated, or it is the nodal agency or the premier training institutes, and it has taken up the nodal role in getting the training modules developed. And we have been organizing TOT programs, that is training for trainers. Detailed training manuals have been developed, PowerPoint presentations have been developed, there are various other aspects of training like identification of suitable trainers, resource persons, development of evaluation of trainers, and training programs is also under examination. And I would end up by saying that please go through the various training modules developed by NITM, and if you have any suggestions after going through all the various training modules, then you all are most welcome. And with this, I put my words to rest. And if there is any question about incident response system, this presentation, you all are most welcome. And I will definitely share my PPT.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful presentation on IRS. Yes, we have a few questions in the chat box.
Questions.
सर मैं पढ़
नहीं,
देती
आप
हूँ
बोलो बोलो.
जी 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 व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ पंचायत सेक्रेटरी इन एनडीएमए प्लीज एक्सप्लेन एनडीएमए
Role of Panchayat Secretary, there is no Panchayat Secretary. As far as I know, there is no Panchayat Secretary or no officer is being designated as Panchayat Secretary in NDMA. And the Secretary
विगन साहब
is either at हाँ
सर वो एक्चुअली मुझे जो लग रहा है वो ये पूछना चाह रहे हैं कि आईआरएस में उनका क्या रोल है
रोल ऑफ पंचायत इंस्टीट्यूशंस. देखिए आईआरएस में किसका पंचायत सेक्रेटरी का किसी भी सेक्रेटरी का सर
किसी किसी का
पंचायत सेक्रेटरी का तो आप नहीं बता सकते.
लोकल गवर्नेंस
सेक्रेटरी का ये है कि जो भी हाँ लोकल गवर्नेंस का हम आपको बताते हैं कि डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल के अंडर में आपकी लोकल गवर्नेंस होती है. आप ये देखिए हमारा स्टेट लेवल सेंट्रल लेवल स्टेट इंस्टीट्यूशनल मैकेनिज्म हमारा डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट के लिए सेंटर स्टेट एंड डिस्ट्रिक्ट एंड विद इन डिस्ट्रिक्ट वी हैव दिस लोकल पंचायत इंस्टीट्यूशन. सो अब जो टीम अगर किसी पे वहां जाएगी तो उनकी क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है, व्हाट आर द रिक्वायरमेंट्स ऑफ दोज panchayats, or because on ground if it is the lowest, or we can say the present organization or this designated officer of Government of India or the concerned state to whom this IRS or the IRT commander or the IRT team members, they can get in touch with it. Then this chief can be a responsible officer if it is at the level of panchayat, and if it is a level of district, then the DM is the responsible officer. So IRT will for any requisition, for any support, they'll surely deal with this Panchayat DO or the Jila Parishad CEO or the district magistrate.
ओके हेलो
हाँ बोलिए बोलिए सुन रहा हूँ.
हाँ जी सर धन्यवाद सर. एक और क्वेश्चन है जो मैं लेना चाहूँगी. Respected sir, please clarify that in case of disaster occurs without any warning, then how incident response system will respond? Please clarify. Question is from Rafi Sheikh.
Ma'am, could you please repeat it? If any disaster takes place without any
early warning, so how incident response system will respond to this situation?
Then IRS, we have certain this is the situation, like if you are going and you met with an accident, you met with an unforeseen situation, so there cannot be a fixed, and for that matter we have the wise and wisdom with the role which is to be played by the commander or which is to be dealt by the various organizations which they have to cater for. So you cannot have a set. We can have a basic broad line of how do we deal it. Suppose they have to go, they have to report to him, they have to give requisitions. How will they act? Is okay, but you cannot say for every unforeseen situation you cannot have a fixed or a set that you have to do this only. Otherwise, there cannot be any unforeseen situations. So, उसमें आपको ये what you have to do is that you have a basic broad line of the IRS, which has a set number of detailed instructions, directions, which we have definite. We have well defined this team leader. We have logistics chief. We have certain various other operational chief. We have certain other organizations which are capable in. So this IRS helps in integrated and coordinated and efforts which are being put in by the various agencies who are developing, who are indulged in various rescue activities. So it helps in management. If we don't have any, we don't have fixed accountability, we don't have fixed set of roles and tasks and responsibilities assigned to dedicated or the marked individual or the marked organization. Otherwise, then there will be a chaos. Suppose I need to go and report, then if I'm not aware of what I'm supposed to do, then I'll do the work, which then there will be overlapping of work. So this helps in putting the getting the best out of the available resources. Any other question?
Oh, no, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for this valuable presentation and your valuable time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, how I also have one question. I see one question. How a national disaster is identified in India and who will declare national disaster? Balakrishnan Madi Reddy. Sorry.
Now, see, if I could answer, there is no mechanism in our country with respect to declaring any disaster national disaster. Basically, disaster is not to say a state subject, but because it encompasses law and order situations with respect to any disaster kind of a scenario. So it is the responsibility of the local governance, the district government or the state government to take care of the disaster. When, as per the definition of disaster, it goes beyond the coping capacity of the state governments, then comes the role of the national government. So with all wherewithal and the resources like this NDRF, this NDMA guidelines, and also money, finances, central government comes to the rescue of the state government. But in no case in our country any disaster will be declared national disaster.
Link.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I request Mr. Ashish Kumar Panda, sir, as we are moving ahead with our valedictory session. Kindly give your concluding remarks, sir.
Okay, thank you, Shilki. So, good afternoon once again to everybody present here. It has been a wonderful program throughout the 3 days. As every good initiative has a beginning and then an end. So, here we are towards the end of this wonderfully conceptualized 3-day training workshop, which was jointly organized by National Institute of Disaster Management and APHRDI Hyderabad. During this 3-day workshop, as we all know, that we could cover various important facets and aspects of disaster management and disaster risk reduction. To begin with, we covered the COVID-19 sensitization, where we stand today as far as India is concerned, our preparedness, that vaccine status, and guidelines, how we have to follow, or in a post-COVID situation, what we have to observe and way forwards and things like that. Then basics of disaster management, the concepts, that the terminology that is used, and that the institutional mechanism that is prevalent in our country with respect to how we go about disaster risk management and mitigation and also reduction. So we discussed about that. Then we learned about how we have to go for community capacity building, because we can't leave everything upon the governments, and community has to be brought in, chipped in with their knowledge, wisdom, and local efforts. Can only we can meet the impacts of the disasters. Then we covered the cyclone Amphan, that out of over 7,500 coastal this lines, nearly 5,000 kilometers of coastal line is impacted on a yearly basis with respect to cyclones. So Shilki ma'am covered cyclone Amphan with respect to that. Then Dr. Dhawan from FRI, he covered why there are increasing numbers of forest fires in our country and how we manage the impact of forest fires. He also discussed the Australian bushfire of this 2019. It is still ongoing, and the Amazon fire and things like that. Then how technology helps us in meeting our DRR needs, the role of remote sensing, role of GIS, and Dr. Joshi covered about this, and how they help us in our planning processes, how they help us in our decision making processes. We also discussed. Then I covered that animal inclusive disaster risk reduction. We have been taking Mother Nature, Mother Earth for granted for years together. So only human species own this earth. It's not like that. All other species have equal role, responsibility, and authority over the natural resources that we have on Mother Earth. So inclusive growth and inclusive togetherness. That was the message of that presentation. Then Avdesh sir beautifully covered how science and technology innovations can be brought in with respect to disaster risk reduction processes and mechanisms, and how with the help of these technologies the impacts of disasters can be reduced. Then Vikram sir told beautifully about because the resources are so scarce in modern times, until unless we define the roles and responsibilities of our officers, be it government, be it non-government, and all stakeholders have to be given their responsibilities in the times of crisis and disaster. That is the beautiful definition of incident response system he talked about, why it should be there, what is the benefit, and how we should go about it. So if I sum it, then 9 to 10 beautiful lectures were completed during this 3 day journey, and I'm confident that all the participants were benefited hugely from these discourses and deliberations. And I must thank APHRDA for their wonderful audience base. And I should say that in each and every program of APHRDI, all the seats are always full in such programs. In our last webinar that we had with them, nearly more than 3,000 participants joined that webinar. And even in today's program, this 3 day program, I'm confident that the attendees would be more than 1,500, so to say, in different platforms. So such a positive attendance to any program gives the organizers, us, lots of confidence, faith in carrying forward the good work of capacity building with more zeal and enthusiasm. And I can promise that NIDM and APHRDI will further strengthen ties through many more such collaborative efforts on various facets and aspects of DRR in times to come. As an outcome of this program, let us all be a dedicated workforce to reckon with in the field of disaster risk reduction, spread information and knowledge that is very coming from the authentic sources, prepare disaster risk management I mean, yourself as comrades and champions, join our initiative. Avdesh must have told you about our that Telegram, that group. You can join that group. Be available at the time of crisis in any capacity. Learn, develop skills, be positive, be confident in your approaches, not only in DRM measures, but also in your day-to-day lives. Be good human beings, at least try to be, and try to help mankind move towards a disaster resilient society. So my sincere thanks would go to ED and IDM sir, Major General Sri Manoj Kumar Bindal ji, DG APHRD sir Sri Venkatesh Prasad ji, our ex-DG sir who graced our inaugural session Sri Chakrapani ji, along with Sri Ravindra ji, Ms. Najia ma'am, Ms. Shilpi for guiding, facilitating, and always being a positive support and strength to all of us for taking forward this program successfully. I would like to thank our esteemed speakers who are now a family and who never say no to us whenever we require them in their capacity as experts in our programs. Dr. Dhawan, Dr. P.K. Joshi, Dr. Sanjay Singh, Avdesh ji, Vikram ji, Shilki ma'am. I thank all of you for your wonderful and insightful presentation during this 3 day program, and also your cooperation and support. Thank you so much. My sincere thanks to our wonderful participants also, who have been very attentive and participative during this program. I am looking forward to many more of such programs that we can organize in future, where our association and bonding together will definitely grow manifold in times to come. And to sum up, always believe in 3 things: that if we fail to prepare, then probably we are preparing to fail. And we have to see opportunities in disasters, and we should go for build back better concept always. And we have not inherited our Mother Earth, Mother Nature from our ancestors. Rather, we have borrowed it from our fellow younger generations. So these 3 messages I wanted to impart while leaving. And last message that this is a COVID time, and as the vaccines are still far away in realization, we have to be very, very cautious in protecting ourselves through following guidelines and taking all such measures that is necessary. Improve upon your immune system, do regular exercises, take healthy diet, remain stressless through meditation, pranayam, and things like that. Keep smiling, spread only authentic news around you, help others, and save mankind through this trying phase. This phase too shall pass, so don't worry, be happy. God bless all of you. Have a good day. Jai Hind. So before Najia ma'am offers an official vote of thanks, we have this benign presence of our eminent speakers. Avdesh ji is there, Vikram ji is there. So I will request both of you to kindly say a few concluding remarks before Najia ma'am offers official vote of thanks. अवधेश जी पहले आप बोले. अवधेश जी.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Please.
I am unmuted, sir. So in these 3 days, I think we have explored many DRR terms by eminent speakers, and the best thing that I observed in this program that question asked by the participant, they they asked the questions and very interactive, and it was participant box was full, and but in the last in moments I would not. But I would like to remind that in this, Ashish sir, you remember that on International Disaster Risk Reduction Day, 13th October, a report was published by on the by title of Human Cost of Disaster by UNDRR and CRED. So this disaster is indicating some serious points that natural disaster is the climate-based disaster is going to dominate, and India is also one of the vulnerable country. So this is a area of concern on which we have to focus. All the people, I would like to directly connect with everyone who is hearing my voice right now, all the learned participants and seniors. So the role of Andhra Pradesh, who have the long coastal boundary and have a very vulnerable profile by the coastal point of view, it become more prominent because climate-induced global warming is has a potential to rise the water level, and it may be create some serious problem in this coastal line. And India had a 7,516 kilometer coastal line. So various programs run by NDMA, and NIDM is also working on this disaster that we recently did a CAPRES program, sir, you remember. So
yes.
Other programs are also there. So agriculture, basically, because these are I am talking about these sectors because these are climate sensitive sectors. So we should give more focus on climate balance and for maintaining a sustainable for maintaining a sustainable development approach as well as when we talk about the disaster management. So with these words, I would like to sum up here, and I wish all the participants to stay healthy. And we have, as Ashish Panda sir told you about the Telegram group that we are running right now, that is Disaster Management Comrade and Champions group, the link of which is available in the chat box. I request all the participants, which are great in number and have an enthusiastic feeling about the disaster risk reduction. So please join us so that we can go for in this DRR direction together. Thank you.
थैंक यू अवधेश जी.
Thank you.
एक बार और लिंक को यदि शेयर कर दें अभी वर्तमान में,
Sure,
so
sure,
then
sure.
participants will be benefited. So thank you for your encouraging words. Now Vikram sir, if you are available there, kindly say a few concluding remarks.
Sir, Vikram sir has a lecture, so he's there busy.
Okay. Fine. Okay.
Can we request Miss Nazia?
Okay, over to you. Yeah.
Yes, Nazia ma'am.
Is it audible,
Yes,
ma'am?
please, ma'am, deliver.
Audible, please.
Yes.
Good afternoon, one and all. I deem it a privilege to propose a vote of thanks for the dignitaries gracing this 3 days program on behalf of Andhra Pradesh Human Resource Development Institute and National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, New Delhi. First of all, I express my grateful thanks to Sri J. Venkateswara Prasad Sir, IAS Director General, APHRDA. And then I express my thanks to Sri D. Chakrapani, IAS Retired, former Director General, APHRDA. And then thanks to Executive Director of NIDM. I express my thanks to all the speakers for their wonderful presentations on all 3 days. And then thanks to Ashish sir, faculty NIDM, and Ms. Shilki ma'am, and professional NIDM. And thanks to Ravindra sir also. And my thanks to all the participants to be with us on all 3 days. Every day 1000 members attended in Cisco WebEx and 500 members in YouTube. And we consolidate the attendance of all 3 days, and we will send the feedback to the mail IDs of individuals, and then we distribute the certificates. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Namaskar.
Thank you.